Right. Well, hello, good afternoon, good morning, gentlemen. Good evening to those across part of the world, and a good day to anybody else who's listening. Welcome to our special session. Let's get my English out. I am English and I can speak English, honest. I'm here. I'm Liz Jones, and I'm joined with Randy McNeely and Professor Pete Alexander, and we're here to talk about health, heart health, and why it matters. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Liz.
How are we both this morning?
Fantastic for me, and thank you for having us on the show, Randy.
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I'm just happy to be able to say hi and be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Much rather be seen than viewed, which was a possibility a little while ago. So.
And of course, obviously, Randy, of course, you shared last week about your recent, say, shock. The oh shit moment that really happened.
Uh-huh.
You're just like, it was nearly, that was it, near enough, but and when you messaged me to say what happened, I was just like, I was welling up. You couldn't see it. And when you said like nice, I was like, oh my God, I'm just so glad to get this message. And you voice clipped me, and I was like, I could hear it in your voice that you'd been, and I was just so happy to have that message. Now, for those who are listening, so thank you guys if you are listening. Obviously, Randy, I would like you just to share what's happened recently for you. So why it caused me to well up quite recently and touch the hearts of many.
Well, I call myself the kindness giver, but it was forcefully brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago that I wasn't being so kind to myself because I ended up having some pressure in my chest and needing to go to an emergency room. And within 24 hours after that, having an emergency procedure to check for blockages in my heart and discovering blockages and having a stent put in to open up my, what they call the widowmaker artery, which was 75% blocked. I was in the process of trying to be kind to my neighbors, going out and doing a whole bunch of shoveling and things like that actually led me to having the challenge I had. But in reality, what really led me there is the fact that I like to eat, and I like to eat lots of things that are not good for my body and for heart health, and all the things that we hear about which are easy to talk about. Oh yeah, I know I shouldn't eat that. I know I shouldn't do this, or whatever. But it shouldn't have taken a wake-up call like this to get me to recognize the fact that, and to, let me phrase that, not recognize, but embrace the fact that my body is my production capacity. And if I'm not taking care of it, then I'm not going to be very productive, am I?
No, but you're not the only person who said that. It shouldn't take me that. But so many people hit that brick wall to wake up, And of course, that's why obviously I asked Professor Pete, because he had his own brick wall moment.
Yeah, and what you're saying about your body, Randy, I always mention to people that if you don't take care of your body, you're not going to be good to anybody else. Because if you think about when you're really sick, are you feeling like doing anything other than lying in bed? And probably not. And when you don't have the energy to do anything else, you're no good to your family, your career, your company, whatever it happens to be. And I love how you said that you were giving the kindness to others, shoveling the snow and stuff, because it was very similar to what happened to me. I got stress-induced diabetes back in 2008 because I had all these things on my plate. My dad was dying. My mom had major hip surgery and didn't have insurance to have the physical therapy to take care of her. I had a business to run. I had my kids were real small at that point, and I had a marriage that was failing. So just to name a few things. And and then so then all of a sudden, we were talking about losing weight, and I all of a sudden lost 30 pounds in 30 days, and I was not dieting. I was not doing any regular exercise that was outside of what I normally would. And boom, I went and had some blood work done after that 30th pound came off, because I was really excited about when I lost the first like 15, because I was in my mid 40s and I'm thinking, wow, this is awesome. I haven't lost weight in how long? And then the blood work came back and it said that it was diabetes. And yet, I didn't listen to my body about what stress was doing to it. And so what ended up happening is I went another 10 years burning the candle at both ends, like we always do as entrepreneurs, until I ended up in the emergency room with a severe case of diabetic ketoacidosis. And you guys probably know what that is, but if any of the listeners don't know, basically my body was eating itself alive because of my stress. And but the putting others or putting other things in first, this is the crazy part. So I'm in the I get transferred into ICU for the very first time, and hopefully my last time ever in my life. And so when I was admitted, my blood sugars were so high that the medical grade glucometers could not read it. So they estimated I was 8 to 10 times higher than what I should be. I had 6 liters of fluid in that first hour and a half because I was so dehydrated. And on my second day in ICU, my numbers finally came back down into more reasonable. And at about 6 a.m., my boss at the time texts me and says, "You have a webinar you need to run at 8 o'clock. What are you going to do about it?" And mind you, my boss knew that I was in the hospital. And so all of a sudden I grabbed my phone because I didn't have my work laptop, and I start trying to reschedule this webinar, pushing the boundaries of the phone. And I was crazy because the nurse on this that was checking me, they were taking my blood every half an hour, so you don't sleep very much because they're poking you. And she takes my blood. My numbers all of a sudden shot up like a 90-degree angle. And she just says to me, as a matter of fact, "You realize that's what put you in this bed in the first place." And that was the aha moment. I needed a perfect stranger to tell me that, because I continuously was putting either my career or others in front of my own health. And, as you found out, Randy, I mean, if you keep doing that, you're not going to be around much longer. It's just out what's the reality of it.
And it's so interesting because I push, I stress, but I've talked about, I've advocated kindness to self. We have, kindness in our self-talk, kindness and other things like that. But I wasn't very good at taking my own advice because I haven't been very kind to myself and my eating habits. The interesting thing is, Pete, I'm glad you're here because you talk about stress-induced things. I am a firm believer that my near heart attack, I should say. I didn't have a heart attack. I averted a heart attack, but my near heart attack was more stress induced than physically induced. And here's the reason I say that. I've been under my own stressful situations in the last year and a half. My blood pressure, when they went in to check it, after I was feeling the pressure on my chest and everything like that, my blood pressure was totally normal. My cholesterol levels were totally normal. My EKG was normal. My oxygen levels were normal. But when they went in to do what's called the episiotomy, that because of the symptoms I was having, then the nurse at the emergency room said, "We're still going to send you over to this other hospital and check you in." And of course, when they did the episiotomy, which was the emergency procedure the next day, they discovered that I had 4 blockages, 3, arteries that were narrowed by 50%, which they said, it could control with, diet, exercise, losing weight, medication, etc. And then the 4th one, which of course was the widowmaker artery. But, I just went to the doctor, I had a follow-up 5 days later. And, my blood pressure is great. Fantastic. And I'm not on any blood on any blood pressure medication right now. I'm on a blood thinner, and I'm on cholesterol reducer, even though my cholesterol is normal. But so I think stress is can be a big factor. What people don't think about is there's so many people out there who are totally fit physically that have heart attacks because of stress.
Yeah. And the thing is that the stress, it actually, I've had doctors tell me, well, but it's not the direct correlation. And that's actually true. But what happens is that when we're stressing about something that's negative stress, things like worrying about something in the past or something that's coming up in the future, and it's like we're doing this to ourselves. What that does is it creates cellular inflammation, and that cellular inflammation is what causes the disease. So whether it's heart disease, whether it's diabetes, cancer, etc., and our bodies give us these early warning signs before it gets too bad. But what do? We ignore it. And, and I always think about, Randy, when you mentioned about the perfectly fit people, Jim Fixx, remember the guy that had the runner who had you might have known him, Liz. He was he was really famous for being physically fit. I don't know what it was, 3% body fat kind of thing that he had. And he wrote books on, running and marathons and things like that. And he died in his mid-40s of a heart attack because he was, we estimate that he was, or that he was stressed, but he was, from a physical standpoint, you would have thought that he was absolutely in the best shape that anybody could be.
And the thing is, stress is a big thing because you don't even know it's there. And you've both highlighted, I was taking on everything of everybody else, and that's what people do. It's like, obviously Randy said, self-kindness. And I tell everybody, but as coaches, you go, yeah, but I need to be there for my clients and I'll put it till later. And as I teach classes, I keep physically fit and healthy. But what's the one thing that slides if I need to is my own workouts, because I need to fit my classes, my work. So it sits there and you get that sort of, you have to find that balance between actually looking after yourself so that you're top of your game. Because when you're top of your game, you look after others better and easier, and you can give more. Yep. Otherwise, you end up with this underlying stress and this self-pressure that you apply, that suddenly, all of a sudden, you have that, oh shit moment, or you don't sleep and you fall down the stairs. It could be something so simple, or it could be, the heart conditions. I mean, you guys actually don't know this, but when I left the army, I had to have an ECG. So my ex in medical picked up a flutter in my heartbeat. And they were like, whoa, we don't know what's wrong with you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm kind of, I'm struggling my back. And I'm all this. Ended up having to go into sick platoon, waited to go to hospital, have an ECG, a full heart scan. But because of the amount of stress I was under, my external valve was just fluttering. So there's no hole, because they thought it was a heart murmur with a hole in the exit valve. There's no hole, there's no irregularity. Just when I get excessively stressed, that's obviously flutters extra, which means the blood flow changes. So that means it's pumping out more into my body than it's getting back. So the flow's imbalanced. So of course, that's where you can end up, progressively getting things like heart attacks and things like this. And that's not something that, but that was me in my I was about 27, so sort of mid-20s. And my body was saying, you're done. You need to walk away. And when I told the college commander, he went, it's time for you to go home. Shook my hand, and I stood in the parade square and I just started to cry because he went, you need to go home now. And it was like, you can see it's making me wild, because although it was a shock, I was fine. It was still that sort of having that authority figure say this to me was just me realizing exactly what my body stress was.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing is he was basically telling you now it's time to make your own health your priority. And that's, that's what I have right now. If I need to lose 60 more pounds, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And the way I'm going to do it is, and it's not easy to change your diet. I mean, I have my wife and my mother-in-law and 3 kids at home. And
Yeah.
so I can't very well ask them to just, give up
Change
bread
it.
and do all the things that I'm going to be doing to
Yeah.
change my diet. So it's not going to be an easy thing, but I have a mantra, and my mantra is eat to live healthy.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm doing. And I've got one person on LinkedIn that's following that, and I'm going to grow that community. Eat to live healthy, because
I'll follow.
I may just change it to eat and exercise to live healthy. That's that's even a better mantra. So
Yeah. I'm with that one. But it's all about people go, I've got all this weight to lose. And it's not about doing it overnight. You're
No.
looking at healthy weight loss is up to about 3 pounds a week. So you could lose 0.5, you could stay the same and then lose 2 the next week. It's that steady decrease. As long as you're there and it's not climbing, you'll see fluctuations. And that's things like water, your body's changing, your exercise levels changing. So your muscle in your body is changing. And this is one thing I say to my clients: this much muscle weighs the same as like this much fat. So although you're getting smaller, your body will go through changes. So
and it's interesting. You may actually gain a little bit of weight after losing when you start toning up your muscles, when your muscles start increasing, your weight loss will definitely taper off. I mean, it'll still go down. You may hit a plateau you may have 2 or 3 weeks where you lose nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
you had,
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and on that point, Randy, you can't get upset and say, "Oh my gosh, it's not working anymore." Well, heck, I'm just going to go back to eating my Oreos. You just have to stick with it. Sorry, Liz, you were going to say?
Oh, I've completely forgotten now. I would say it's the blonde thing, but I don't claim that. It's just a case of I just get wrapped up in what you're saying. So those guys who are listening in to us, obviously, I'm Liz. I'm joined with Randy and Professor Pete, and we're talking about, I'll say, the oh shit moments, heart health, the stress, what it can do to you, and the underlying conditions, and how to care for your body and how important that is. So little things. So if you've got any questions, obviously we're going to be here for quite a little while, and we're going to be talking about obviously our experiences. And so if you've got any specific questions or you've come across it yourself, please throw them in the comments as well.
Yeah. But I do have to get off because actually, believe it or not, I do have a call coming up in 10 minutes. So I have to that I haven't prepared for.
Yeah, but
I'll stay on it. We can talk for a little while longer.
Exactly. But for those people who are listening, what I always just mention about the heart health. Oh, there's Joseph. All right, hello.
And we got Lizanne is obviously, she's with you, Pete, as well. That was from your story.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Lizanne. I try and emphasize sort of like what you do, Liz, with your clients. It's just, when you trade your health for your career or any other responsibility, that is a very bad trade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do, is we have to be mindful of it, because we're the only ones that can take care of ourselves. And and if, as Randy was saying too, I mean, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of others. It's just that simple. And yes, there'll be times where you put your needs behind other people's and stuff like that. But if you make that the norm instead of the exception, it's going to come back and bite you really hard. And that's the thing. So I apologize for not being able to be here longer, but Randy, you are the star today, because you've got the.
Thanks for being on with us, Pete. Yeah, you've been the star. So I've just been sitting back and listening. It's been great.
All right. Well, you guys have a good rest of the day and enjoy the conversation.
All right, thanks, Pete.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And obviously, Randy, we're back to our hearts and our heart centers and the good things. But I follow on from that. The biggest conversation I have with people is either I won't start today until I've done this. I mean, I do it myself. Until I finish this course, I will do X, Y, Z. But I've also learned that, you know, sometimes I look at my day and go, when can I do like a walk, or when can I do, or what? And I'm just like, no, you've got 20 minutes now. Why are you fluffing around? My words are fluffing. Why are you fluffing around and not doing what you should be doing and actually procrastinating about going? Put your shoes on, go around the block and come back, and you'll have more time. And actually you have more energy.
Well, again, it's absolutely right. And again, it's the key thing is making it a priority.
Yeah.
We're going to make our health a priority. You know, okay, common sense is, well, our health should be our priority every day. Well, I'm a living example of what not making health your priority can do. And I'm grateful to be able to say I'm a living example, as opposed to, you know, someone that people would be talking about, oh, if he'd just done this or that, he'd still be here with us, you know.
Yeah.
I got out of the hospital, and I go to church every Sunday. I walked into church, and one of the guys said, "Oh, Randy, it's so good to see you." And I said, "It's good to be seen." And another guy piped up, "Yeah, it's great to be seen. Much better than being viewed." Because you always have a viewing. If there's a funeral, you know, people will have a viewing where, you know, they come and walk by the casket and look at it. I'm so grateful that I'm not there. But the fact is, you know, I teach. I'm what's called a culture-wise consultant. I work with organizations to help them build world-class cultures. Well, and we talk about culture by design. That's the name of a book. The CEO of the company I work with that I consult for, he wrote that book called Culture by Design. If you think about it, we are in charge of our health by design. We have to design our health plan. Nobody else can do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
And until we make it intentional, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are steps we have to take. So, I mean, just since I got out of the hospital, I've made intentional moves to change my diet completely. I've taken out the flour and the sugar. I'm not eating breads at all. You know, some people might say that's really hard. I decided I'm not eating breads, and I'm not eating anything with sugar in it that's not natural. I'm not eating processed foods. Let's put it that way. I'm eating lots of fruits and vegetables. I'm eating a little bit of meat, but not very much. I've cut way down on the amount of meat I'm eating, and lots of good things, you know, beans and fruits and vegetables, brown rice, quinoa, all kinds of good things.
Have you got fish in your diet as well?
A little bit of, yes. In fact, I just had my wife made some amazing salmon the other night. Tasted great, and not as good as theirs did, because I didn't have all the sauce on it that they had.
See, but not eating like I do, because I rarely have sauces.
Yeah.
And I'm vegetarian. I don't like meat, and I don't really like fish. Occasionally I make myself eat it because I know I have to for my health. Like my body will just, it's telling me it needs something else. Yeah. So friends find it funny when I do, because I char grill it, you know, kind of the point. But I don't eat sauces. I literally will have, say, 2 slices of toast in the morning. Like if I have some bread, I have sourdough bread. I then go, oh, what am I having for lunch? If I have pasta or couscous for lunch, then I can't have carbohydrates at dinner. So I always balance my meals, you know, sort of thing. Yeah. And it's so normal for me now.
That, it takes building the habit.
Yeah.
You know,
and small steps. And it's that consistency of being on those small steps.
It's a key thing. You know, culture-wise, we work with companies to identify behaviors that they want to have to create world-class cultures. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. What behaviors do I need to adopt in order to have good health? Yeah. When it comes to eating, smaller portions. Mm-hmm. You know, eating to satisfaction, not eating to where I'm stuffed. Yeah. Forgive that. I know that means something has a different connotation over in the UK. Not eating to where I'm totally full.
In terms of food, it means stuffed as in full.
Okay, good. I don't want to offend anybody. eating to where you're satisfied, not
Yeah.
filling yourself to where you're just full and feel like you can't move, which,
Yeah.
I call it the Thanksgiving effect, because or the Christmas dinner effect, whatever, but
And this
it's
is these,
smaller
these
portions, but more often.
yeah, I mean, these are all the things I do with my clients. And it's a case of they wonder why, like, I take 3 months to do it over, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah.
it's a case of actually in 6 weeks, this is how long it takes. It takes a minimum of 21 days to change behavior.
Yeah.
And these are just the little ones. Like, for example, here's a great tip for you to drink more water. Have a glass of water by your bed. When you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is drink that water.
Yeah.
Straight away, you've had a glass of water. And it's those like habits and behaviors that you need.
Yeah, and water is so important. I mean,
Yeah.
it's our water, our body is made up mostly of water.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if we're not hydrating ourselves at a
Mm-hmm.
good rate, we're depriving our body of the ability to flow, to function as well as it could. Our water is to our bodies what gasoline is to cars. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it really is. The interesting thing, I have known what I needed to do for a long time. In 2017, at the end of 2016, between the end of 2016 and my birthday on July of 2017, I lost 66 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
66 pounds.
Awesome.
I was down to 200 pounds for the first time in 20 years. I felt fantastic. I was jogging. I was doing all these different things. And then on my birthday, I thought, okay, well, because I had a bet with a friend of mine that I could go for I went for 6 months, no sugar, doing exactly what I'm doing now.
Mm.
But then on my birthday, okay, well, I made it. The bet's done. We've taken care of things. I ate a donut.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, Liz, I mean, I have not been able to get back on the self-discipline train since then for 4 years, nearly 4 years. I mean,
And
how
this is,
ridiculous is that? I regained 50 pounds or 49 pounds. Well, and that's, and that's what, that was a big contributor to what led me to being laying on a hospital bed, getting, an emergency procedure done.
yeah. And what you're explaining is so common, because what people do is do a bet or I say a diet or a regime for 6 months. So this is how we get to yo-yo dieting. And it's a case of you're telling yourself you can't have something because you're like, I'm going to win this bet. So there's something on the other side.
Yeah.
So, but then you hit the end point and then you're like,
oh, right, now I can go back to
I'll just go back to it. And that's where people go wrong, because rather than saying, I'll just have on a Sunday a small glass of wine of this big or something like this, and that's my lot with my dinner, it's like, no, I'm not doing anything for months, and then completely going overboard. And this is where you get things like binge eating, binge drinking, yo-yo dieting. Yeah. And that's why when you go back, it's so hard to actually give up, because what was your incentive before is no longer there. And you haven't sort of pieced together, you're like, I know I should do that, but there's no incentive in your mind because your mind was the bet.
Yeah. Well, and it takes a mindset change.
Yeah.
I had plenty of time while I was laying there in the hospital to sit there and think about, what am I doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I laying here in this bed? What has to change in order for me to make a complete lifestyle change? Because it's a lifestyle change. It's not just a diet change. It's not a diet. This is how I am eating. This is who I am. This is how I eat. This is what I do to be healthy now. And I have some major incentives to be healthy. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a father of 5 children. I have a beautiful granddaughter that's coming in June. That's my daughter, and I want to be around for her, and I want to be around. And my why in life is to have an impact, to influence people to be kind, I should say, to spread kindness, to inspire kindness, and if I really, I mean, if I'm going to be effective and do that, I have to, in doing that, I have to be kind to myself and lead by example in that direction. And so I want to be able to be that influence, because our world needs kindness now more than ever.
It does. And
And
you also highlighted a really big thing there, because people think it's not going to happen to me. You cut your knee, you can go back. But when something like this happens, that changes your life. You've just said it. My lifestyle is now my life. It's not something I've got to do for a short term. It's
no,
my life now. And everything you do is focused around that.
yeah, yeah. I'm reading a book by Joel Furlman, Dr. Joel Furlman, you know, about reversing coronary heart disease or coronary artery disease. Another one by Caldwell Esselstyn, one of the authors of Forks Over Knives, you know, who did that documentary Forks Over Knives. You know, heart disease can be prevented. You know, I just watched a documentary this last weekend called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead by a guy named Joe Cross. I don't know if you've heard of that, but I mean, it was very enlightening. And about he did an all juice diet for 60 days, and then just, you know, has continued to incorporate juicing into his diet. And, you know, I'm looking at all these different things because I have to be thinking constantly now about what am I going to do to be healthy, to get down to a healthy weight and maintain it, and not have to deal with heart issues anymore. I don't ever want to be laying on that hospital. I don't ever want to be in that situation again.
Well, I can tell you, one of my past clients, because obviously the one thing I said about joining you was I was exercise referral qualified, and high blood pressure, heart conditions is one of the things we have to be have some knowledge on. One of my old clients actually had high blood pressure, and it's genetic, it's, you know, and all this. So he knew he's obviously got a heart condition that's hereditary and all that. When I met him, it was controlled and it was still high. So it was, you know, and it was a case of through work with me once a week and a few little walks, he actually brought his blood pressure down to normal. And although he's actually said, I'm going to be on some sort of, you know, medication for my life, but I've got a normal heart rate now. And that's what's important, because it was like, actually, he felt he could walk upstairs. He didn't feel exhausted all the time. It was the worry and the stress of actually, you know, is one day my heart just going to give up? It was a case of being stronger. And of course, now, you know, he's obviously moved to Spain, and, you know, we're still in touch, but he's in Spain now. But he's even saying, although he's doing well now, his heart rate, his blood pressure is still healthy. Although he's still medication, he still needs to do a bit more exercise now because of lockdown. His heart rate is still healthy because he put the effort in.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's worth doing.
You said the key word. It takes effort, and it's a willingness to take the action. You know, it's one thing to talk about it, which I've done a lot of talk. Be kind to yourself, but, you know, results matter.
Yeah. And it's, you know, I mean, we were talking about this the other week on Ladies Go Live about, you know, some people, how it's their morning routine. They get up and spend the hour to themselves or whichever, you know. And for me, because of the hours I working in leisure, my hours for me are normally mid part of my day. And normally at that point, there's a point where I'm just like, do not talk to me. You know, it's kind of like, but that's my boundary. That's my me time, my stretch time.
Talk to my hand. It's not a good time to talk to my face.
It's the look.
Yeah.
But it tends to be, I'll go out to the gyms were open, I'll go for a gym, I'll go to a walk, you know, when we're allowed to meet friends, I go to meet a friend, you know, I fix something up that's not only makes me feel good, but also looks after me, because it's not always, you know, that self-care is about more than just, I've just got to get workout in, or I've just got to eat healthy. Is about the things that are actually good for your overall well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a day. It's got to be consistent, you know. And there are times in this last week and a half, I mean, my family's eating stuff and I'm sitting there eating different stuff. Or my wife, God bless her, she is such a sweetheart. She goes out of her way to try to make things that I can eat and or if she's making something for the family, she'll make something similar that doesn't have all the extra stuff in it for me,
Yeah.
which is just so kind. She's very conscious. She wants, because she's very health conscious herself. I mean, she's fit as a fiddle, and she wants me to be that way. And so, but it takes time, and it's going to be a trial. I mean, there's days when I'm just like, man, I got to have some bread. I need some bread. And I did that one day last week. We had some biscuits some baking powder biscuits, not the biscuits like the cookies in England, but like bread biscuits in our freezer that I had made before I went into the hospital. And I gave in to a craving. I've got it, and I ate all 3 of them in one sitting. And it just sat there like a rock. I mean, like a rock in my stomach. I felt so bloated, if you will. I don't know, maybe that's too much information for the audience, but it didn't. And I was just like,
But this is what happens if you have.
Let that be a reminder.
Yeah. I mean, this is what happens when people don't have wheat for a long time and things like that. And as soon as you have it, you suddenly bloat. Here's one thing that I used to do. So when I do a holiday trim down, I do go no carbs and I cut sugar out my week and things like this. And I look forward to my reward, which is great. But what I do, if I sit down on Monday and I'm like, oh, I really want a slice of carrot cake, I'll write down carrot cake on my little notebook. If I get to Tuesday and it's chocolates, brownie, I'll write chocolate brownie. So by the time I get to the Saturday when I'm going to have it, I look at my list and I go, what's the one thing I want most on this list? And it's kind of like I give myself a little reward. So you're sort of like, but it's also the thing to look forward to over the week. And I sit there going, okay, I can have one thing. What's my one thing that I'm going to really have and I'm going to enjoy? Sometimes it's not even sweet. Sometimes it's actually, I'm going to have a pizza. Oh my God, I want a pizza. And actually that just fills my week. And I'm just like, I'm great, or sometimes it might be a big fry up. I might get up and go, oh, I really fancy massive, the proper like hash browns and, okay, that's a British thing, the big fry browns.
Trust me, we fry plenty of things here.
It's all healthy. I cook it healthy, grill it, and and everything like this. But so when you sit there going, I really fancy bits, just go, actually, I'm going to have something very small, and I'm going to have it on this day, and I'm going to look forward to it. So rather than just getting all 3 out, you go, actually, I can have one, and I'm going to split in half, and I'm going to share with my wife. So to start with, you can do those sorts of things, and then it comes you're doing it together. You don't feel that you've got to cut everything out completely, because otherwise then you may have those rebounds. And of course, those rebounds can cause, as you experience, I feel crap.
My God. Yeah.
Negative. Why did I do it? I shouldn't have done that. Oh God, I've got, I can't do that again. Negativity. And actually,
and it ends up having a totally negative effect.
Mm-hmm. And imagine if you had half with your wife, you sat there and you'd had half a biscuit and you sat there with a cup of tea or, coffee, or like me, peppermint, it's good for your stomach. Yeah. But you'd had something like that and you would go, actually, I've enjoyed something and I've still had it rather than felt really bad.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah.
When it's something that you plan, that you looked forward to, it's like, for example, I mean, like getting the biscuits, almost like I'm sneaking.
Yeah.
Anybody seeing me? It's like, and then, and I got them up and then I brought them into my office and I ate them. I sat there and I was like, oh, this tastes good. But I felt I felt like I had swallowed boulders. Mm-hmm. Afterwards for a while. I mean, it eventually got better, but oh my gosh. So it was a good reminder for me right now. I just need to stick with what I know I need to do in order to be able to lose the weight and get there and maintain it. And then, maybe slowly introduce some things like that once in a while, like you've just suggested, back in. So,
I mean, that's the way. I mean, if you suddenly find that you are finding those cravings a lot, just picking that day, the Sunday or, whichever, and just go, okay, when I get to that day, if I want it, oh, don't choose tomorrow, try and choose something that's a couple of days. Then if you still really need something, then you can you control the cravings rather than controlling you.
Exactly. It's me in control of those things, and not letting them control me, which is too often, when we're addicted to food, which I readily admit I've had a food addiction. When I stress, particularly in the pandemic, there's been more stress, and when I get under stress, I like to, what do? I munch, and I munch and crunch. And what we don't think about is the fact that when we're eating a lot of processed foods, like crackers and cheese and all kinds of other snacks and things like that, we're slowly committing suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, we really are. We're clogging up our own fuel system, and we're doing it on purpose. We're digging our grave with our teeth.
And I'll tell you one, this is the other thing I've had a conversation with as well, because without being crude, constipation is something that is affecting a lot of people now because they're sitting more. By not moving, you're actually slowing your body functioning down. Yeah. And so even 20 minutes of walking, even just like walking around your beautiful living room there, you help the body function. Of course, if the body's flowing, functioning, then of course you're going to break down things that you need to.
Yeah. So do we have a way to interact with our audience a little bit? We've had some chat, a lot of messages come in.
I mean, the comments here, I mean, I can't comment directly back, but we can. But Laura's obviously raised a great sort of point. So obviously self-care is so important. And always self-care is first. So definitely schedule time for exercise, mindfulness, journaling, stress relief. And the one thing here as well, because you say schedule time, we've talked about saying having an hour in the morning is not you have to suddenly block out this huge time. You could say, I'm going to take 10 minutes as I get up to have a 10-minute stretch and bit of meditation. Then I'm going to take 10 minutes and mid-morning to, do something. You can break those things up over the day.
Yeah.
It fits you.
Yeah, every one of us knows what works best for us. Yeah. That's a key thing, is to prioritize your health and prioritizing making time to take care of your health. But break that up, prioritize it, schedule it however you need to make it work for you. Just make sure the key thing is that it's prioritized and it's on your schedule. It doesn't get and don't let it get knocked off your schedule. You can't afford to let it get knocked off your schedule. Oh, I can't do this today because I have to do this or this. No, it has to come first.
And the easy thing to do, if you're working, I'm going to push through. I'm just going to do it. I'm halfway through what I'm doing. I'm just going to finish. And actually, that would have taken you half an hour, then takes an hour, hour and a half. You end up a bit more stressed, agitated. And actually, if you took that 10-minute break, then you would have refreshed.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. Chandra Nath said something about what is practical meaning of wellness in human life. And the fact of the matter is our bodies are our production capacity.
Yeah.
And if we're not taking care of our bodies, our minds are not going to function well either. Because there's a heart-mind connection. And we've all experienced this. When we're tired, we know that our brains are more in a fog than when we're on top of our game, when we're sharp. When we're not feeling good, when we feel sick, it's harder to be sharp. It's harder to give coherent answers to things. It's harder to be able to digest or diagnose or
memory, coordination.
Yeah, there's so many different things. And so physical well-being of our bodies leads to physical well-being is in great measure has a powerful effect on the physical or the mental well-being of our minds, I should say, not physical well-being. Well, physical well-being of our minds and the mental well-being of our minds. And there's a quiet confidence that comes when I know when I'm not taking care of myself, I don't feel good about myself, nearly as good about myself as I ought to and as I need to. When I start taking care of myself, when I can see progress, when I can see that I'm getting better, my confidence level goes up. And that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a difference in my mental health.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I talk about well-being on 3 elements. So the physical, the mental, and the emotional. And, you know, we talk about it. He's come back again with the soul, body, and mind. So that's, again, kind of what I'm saying, the emotional and the mental, you know, because we have these elements and they're not standalone. So anything you do, yeah, and they connect. It's like those 3 circles that you see, and there's always this, you know,
with the Venn diagram where everything overlaps. You've got the 3 circles and
you know, and that's the thing. Everything, you know, we talk about emotional intelligence. To be emotionally intelligent, you need emotional well-being. To need emotional well-being, you need a clear mind. To have a clear mind, you need to be physically relaxed. Breathe. So we go into this.
Physically relaxed, you need to be, you know, doing the things that you need to physically relax and to take care of your body.
So it affects our everything.
Yeah. It's all connected. It's interesting since I've struggled with fatigue, you know, because the situation I was in. I was so tired. I'd get done shoveling, I'd be utterly exhausted. Well, I can't do the shoveling now. The doctors just said shoveling is not on your agenda anymore for a while. Not this year. And but you know, with losing, I lost 15 pounds since I got out of the hospital, you know, and a lot of that I'm sure was water weight, but also, you know, just it's amazing how much weight our bodies can carry inside us if we're not clearing out our system properly. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, but it's the colon, the functioning of our digestion. If it's not,
and so having excuse me, having lost just that weight and then changing my diet and eating foods that naturally bring more energy, I feel so much better right now than I have in months, honestly.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a little sort of thing from I do massage as well. One of my many skills. And you do know you can massage your stomach.
I have never done it. No.
When you massage your stomach,
is it like this? No, like
no.
Scare your audience out to death. They didn't need to see that. Sorry.
But the way, obviously, you go around the colon, because what it does is it will go up, across, and then down. So what happens as it goes through, it gets sort of stuck going up and across. So it can sit, that's why you can get this sort of bloated feeling, particularly like a hard stomach, and it can be sort of higher up. And that's because it's stuck in your intestines. So, love to see Laura. All about good food. Love it.
Yeah. And I'm discovering a lot of foods that I hadn't had for a while that are actually pretty good.
Anyway, so you can actually help stimulate the flow within your gut.
Yeah.
Okay. So of course it will start on your right hand side of the body, sort of in front of so where your iliac crest is, the top of your hip bone. Okay. So you just in front. If I stand up.
Stand up, Liz. We need to see.
Okay, so obviously my hip bones are here. So we're looking at drawing up, across, and then down. So you kind of want to put a bit of pressure in, draw across, and then sort of down.
Like so this?
Find a little stimulate, like you draw a little circle, then just gently come round, and then up and across. So all we're doing is stimulating the flow. You only need to do a couple of times. And of course, what it's doing is stimulating the intestine, the large intestine, because that's, you know, if you look at it, it's the big thick bit, you know, and that's how it sits around. And of course, it can get stuck in there. So of course, that's why stomach massages can feel so lovely. But some people, I mean, I don't tend to do them a lot because some people find them very intrusive. They don't like people poking around their stomach. Some people don't like. But it can actually help the flow. So you'd always sort of go up from the right, across the top, down the left. So if you've just had like a hot bath, a hot shower, you know, clean your teeth in the mirror, or, you know, just before you go to bed, that can be a nice one to sort of do.
That's very good. Well, I'm definitely gonna have to. I'm sitting here doing it right now. Feels good. Anyway,
but it's nice. These things that we do, like for example, like you get swollen fingers, it sort of actually stimulates the blood flow and actually sort of giving your fingers a little massage. It's great. My fingers need TLC as well because they're doing this all day. I'm like, yeah, give them a.
Yeah, and especially if I've been typing for a while, I have to sit there and stop and flex my hands
And one of the things, I teach for my yoga class, I teach on a Monday night. And sometimes we start off and we literally just shake out. So you sort of just shaking and try and just shake it up just from above the heart. And you're just sort of loosening off. As you know, I kind of enjoy it. It's kind of relaxing. But you just shake it going, and you're just letting go. People sat there going, I'm doing
let
this
that stress, let the stress go, let all that stuff go, and get the blood flowing again in your body.
Yeah, and of course, when I do the same classes, sometimes I do and shake your left leg and shake your right, and I get people, and then I wiggle in
between. Put your left leg in, you put your left leg out.
Yeah.
Put your left leg in and you shake it all about.
You know what? And I play head, shoulders, knees, and toes as well. We like as a warm-up one.
You do the hokey pokey.
But these sorts of things, it's a case of you just shaking out because a lot of the time you sit around, you might go for a walk, but then you're not thinking, you actually just need to get the blood flow, which is going to help stimulate. And this is where we come on to what exercise you should be doing.
Yeah.
So obviously, you've had this amazing opportunity, I'm going to say, because you're still with us. It's actually just been the opportunity to change things, not to lose you, because I'm very glad about that.
Well, me too. I'm glad to still be here.
So, have they got you under an exercise regime, under supervision, or are you just being given things to do, or?
I'm supposed to start with a physical therapist, like either this week or next week for a month of 3 days a week physical exercise. But I've been doing a lot of my own research, and I just started out. I'm just walking on a treadmill. Last week, 3 days after I got out of the hospital, I walked for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And slow, at 2 miles an hour for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then I worked up to 3 miles an hour for 15 minutes, and then 3 miles an hour for 20 minutes, and then 3.5 miles an hour for 20 minutes. And now today I did a combination. I walked for 1.25 miles, and I did a combination between 3 miles per hour, 3.5 miles per hour, and 4 miles per hour the whole time, just switching out every couple of minutes, going up a little bit of speed. And I felt great.
The one thing with it all is always judge how you feel. So if you suddenly start to feel pain or really short breath, you bring it down. The aim is that you just want to elevate that heart rate above resting. So it doesn't matter whether you get it, and if you've had a heart condition, you kind of want to, you don't want it hitting the high levels. You want to just do it steady to begin. So you want that sort of steady level.
Yep.
Walking's great, obviously cycling, but this is why we tend to use like sort of circuit training where your heart rate is going to stay up for a period. So it doesn't mean to do heavy exercises. However, the other thing which they don't always teach you, this is my other tidbit just for you, and we'll get on to Chandra's little question, is never work above the head. So as soon as you put your arms above head, you are increasing the heart rate. My heart's got to work harder to get blood up to my hand. So automatically my heart rate's working harder now. So of course you're putting extra pressure. So of course, if you're doing things and whichever, you should always keep below the shoulders. And then that way you obviously give the heart the maximum support that it needs.
Yeah.
So
true statement.
Thank you, Barnabas. That's lovely.
Yeah, thank you, Barnabas. Thank you, Chandra, for all your great questions too.
Yeah. The role of yoga in refreshing the mind, body, and soul.
My wife will tell you it is a fantastic practice. I right now I would like to try yoga. I need to find a decent coach, and I haven't been able to find one where I am, because I'm my flexibility. I'm about as flexible as a brick, So
yoga. This is what thing, because you see all these different things, and everyone thinks, oh yeah, this is yoga. Is mountain pose, standing there nice and tall and strong. I teach so I teach Ashtanga Vinyasa, so that's the style I teach, which is about the 8 limbs of yoga. So you connect the breath with the movement, it's the mind and the body and everything sort of working together. So everything you do, it's all about how it feels and, flowing the energy and the energy flowing. So I do like to teach a powerful class at times. I'm not going to lie, because I enjoy sharing that energy, and it actually, challenging my clients enjoy having that physical challenge as well as, but then I was saying about the detox. It's all about letting go. So they love it because they go, I always sleep on a Monday night because it's so gentle and it's so lovely. And it's just, but it's all finding what sort of works and setting up. And that's the thing, because different yogas you'll find will do different things. If you use a yin is very more stretchy. So you'll hold an asana for longer. So you will find a yin, restorative, maybe even a hatha style, much better. Simply for the fact is they're a little low on the intensity.
Yeah. My wife, what she does, she uses yoga for a lot for relaxation and for stretching. I mean, stretching out relaxes her.
Mm-hmm.
And it also strengthens her. I mean, she's a lot stronger than I am. She's skinnier and everything, but I mean, she's strong. She can sit and hold her body up. She can do, I mean, with her hand, and she can do all kinds of stuff that I can't do right now, but that I need to be able to do just to say that I can do it, I guess, or no, so because I'm showing my body's healthy, but
Mm-hmm.
I definitely need to look into yoga more.
And Chandra's keeping us on the ball, is reading and exercise. Actually, yes, because your brain still needs to be trained and developed. And in fact, there are studies, it's nothing 100% proven, but it can help in later life with things like, oh my God, I've just forgotten. Losing memory when we get old. So
dementia. Help prevent or ward off dementia or Alzheimer's or other things like that.
Dementia, I haven't even hit 40. We're doing well over here. But I can tell you now, my nan's 96. She turns 97 in 2 weeks. And she still does the crosswords, mentally still with it, and has a conversation. And she's always kept her mind active. They say it is one of the things, reading, mental stimulation. That's why you should always have some sort of hobby that way.
Well, and it's our mind in that way. Our mind is like our muscles. We have to continually exercise it in order for it to stay strong.
Yeah.
But
our heart is our greatest muscle. It's the only cardiac muscle we have. It does its thing. It will completely work, whatever we do to it, but it needs care to work effectively.
And you think about it, I mean, our heart is the vital organ in our body. If the heart's not functioning properly, there's a lot of other things that are going to stop functioning properly. Because, if the heart's not pumping or beating like it should, pumping the blood that our body needs, then other parts of our body are not going to be getting the blood that they need, and that could lead to other effects. Yeah. And so it's like when I talk about cultured organizations, their culture is the heartbeat of the organization. And if that heartbeat's not healthy, then your organization is going to have some real challenges. It's the same thing in our bodies. If our heart's not healthy, our body's going to have challenges. So I'm on a journey to make my heart healthier and the rest of my body come along with it. So,
well, I'm so glad that oh shit moment was literally just that, and it was an opportunity to take control of your health and put yourself first, and know how special you are to your family, to all of us, because you touch a place in all of us with your kindness. So all I can say is thank you.
I appreciate you, Liz. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So thank you to everyone who's joined, all those lovely, valuable comments. Obviously, we've been here for an hour. If you do want to speak more with either myself or Randy, we are on LinkedIn. It's the best place to find us. Please do drop us a message. And obviously, we'll be sharing more insights and valuable. Anything you would like to share to close out, Randy?
I'll just, we can't afford to take our health for granted. Don't let yourself get to a situation like I did. If you take time, if you have concerns about your own health right now, today, as you're listening, take the time to assess where you are what you're doing to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all those things, because you can't afford to take it for granted. You don't want to end up, you don't want to end up in the hospital having to have an emergency procedure one way or another, when you could have an ounce of prevention, you know, is worth a pound of cure if you'd taken the time to prevent. If I, I have no idea what my hospital bills are going to be like. My stress level may go up as soon as I see those bills, and that's not going to help my heart. And so it's not a good situation to be in. So just be wise. Take the time to assess where you are, and if you need to make changes, determine to make changes, and determine today to do it. I want to give a shout out to Joe Stepke, who is on here, because he's the one. He's going to be we're going to be accountability partners. We're using the hashtag Eat to Live Healthy, and I want to invite the audience to use the same thing. Take the time, if you're on LinkedIn, you see that hashtag, or take the time to read the posts and do something good for yourself. Be kind to yourself and be healthy.
My favorite line is, take care of your wellness now before you have to make time for your illness later.
Yeah.
It's more time to care for an illness than it does to invest in your wellness.
Yeah, and the price you pay for your health is going to be a lot less than the price you will pay if you're not healthy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people, they go to me, the gym membership's too expensive, I can't afford it, or I can't afford to do, whichever. But yet suddenly they'll have hospital bills. And I'm like, now what's worth it more? Investing that time, a little, that little bit extra just to make that extra healthy meal, or not to eat bread or solidly, and, that little investment compared
to make a simple change. You can and do it in baby steps. What one step can you take today to improve your health?
And on that one, let's say goodbye, because
all right. Thank you so much, Liz.
Very welcome. Lovely to have you.
Lovely to